We all know that Volkswagen makes the most iconic hot hatch, the Volkswagen GTI. They've been making it for 7 generations, but did you know you can get the same engine and performance for less money from the Volkswagen family? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you guys what makes this the secret bargain of Volkswagen's lineup. Now when I say this, I mean the 2019 Volkswagen Jetta GLI. It's the sporty Jetta, and we're here in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee driving a very special road called Tail of the Dragon. More on that in a little bit. Let's start off by talking a little bit about styling and what sort of updates the GLI gets from the standard Jetta. Starting at the front, well, it's a much more aggressive front end overall. You have the same shape of the grille. It's kind of a large hexagon shape, but within that, there's this hexagonal pattern that's a little bit smaller. You get the red lipstick, the stripe through the grille that feels reminiscent of a GTI, but you also get some black accents, a little sportier styling overall, bigger openings. It looks sporty. You get the GLI badge in red. This is a very special GLI. This is the 35th anniversary edition, which means you get some other special aesthetic touches, including these 18-inch alloy wheels. You see, this one also has black mirror caps. There's also a black roof and a little black lip spoiler on the trunklet. One last thing to point out about the front end styling here, all GLIs will get these LED headlights with the LED daytime running light surround, which is a nice little feature to have. It looks really cool in the fog like this actually right now. So from the side profile, not a ton of changes. Obviously you have those wheels we mentioned. There are these little badges though on this 35th edition. You do get the little 3.5 after the word GLI, and you also get some special side skirts that look a little more sporty than the standard Jetta. But overall, the side profile is not drastically different. There are some cool changes at the back though. All right, at the back, a couple of little small things to point out. You do have a different diffuser. This is specific for the GLI, and you also notice down here there are twin exit chrome tip exhaust pipes, and plus some LED tail lights, and of course the little GLI badge, once again, in red. But overall, you know, the styling on the GLI, well, it's just meant to look a little more sporty than the standard Jetta, right? It's nothing crazy. I have to say, guys, styling is always a personal choice, and I do want to hear what you think of the 2019 GLI's looks, so drop a comment down below, tell us what you think. This drives in many ways very similarly to the GTI, and that's for a pretty good reason. The GLI is now on Volkswagen's MQB platform. It's their modular, transversely mounted engine platform that is in a lot of their lineup, namely the Golf, and now this generation of the Jetta and the GLI. Volkswagen did some cool things with the GLI though. They gave it independent rear suspension over the standard Jetta. The standard Jetta has a torsion beam, and the independent suspension setup is a really nice upgrade. But I was trying to think in my head, you know, this feels just a little bit different to the GTI in the way that it drives. And the biggest difference is the way it delivers power. I got to lunch and I asked the folks from Volkswagen, I said, is the gearing any different? And they said, no, the gearing's not different, but the way the engine makes power is a little bit different. So here in the GLI, your peak torque and peak horsepower figures actually come 300 RPM later than they do in the GTI. It might feel like it has longer gears than the GTI, but the gearing itself is the same. It's just the way the engine makes power. Next, let's talk about performance. So this is the performance Jetta. It's got to have a bigger, more powerful engine. What Volkswagen did here is they just took the engine, transmission, the whole drivetrain out of the GTI. So this is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. Volkswagen people will know it as the EA888 engine. It makes 228 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque here in the GLI. And you have 2 choices of transmissions for 2019. The first is a good old-fashioned 6-speed manual. That's what we're driving today. But there is also a 7-speed DSG, or what Volkswagen calls their dual clutch. Now all that power goes to the front wheels only, but it does so through a very special type of differential. What it does is it has an electronically limited slip diff that can send power to each of the front wheels. It acts like a form of torque vectoring, which is really awesome for putting the power down, because what you want to do, you want to send power to the outside wheel, help bring you around the corner. In this car, the GLI has it standard across the board. The other interesting performance upgrade that it has standard across the board is the same set of front brake calipers from the Golf R, which are nice and big and they're painted red. All right, but what kind of fuel economy can you expect out of the 2019 GLI? Well, you open your little fuel cap here. What's interesting is that between the manual and the DSG, there's actually no difference in fuel economy, which took me by surprise. The EPA says this will get 25 mpg in the city, 32 mpg on the highway for a combined 28 miles to the gallon, which is a pretty good gas mileage rating. But it is kind of weird that you get the same mileage between the stick and the DSG. Go figure. So we're here today driving a really special road, Tail of the Dragon. It's, I don't know, 11 or so miles long, more than 300 turns. It's an awesome road, but you have to be safe and you have to be careful. This is called the Tree of Shame, and it's a tree with a bunch of parts from motorcycles, cars, nailed to it where people had accidents. So I want you guys to know we are driving safe, we're staying to the speed limits, we're following the rules of the road, no crossing the double yellow line. Next up, let's talk about utility. So I think the best place to start is with the trunk, and this generation of Jetta actually has a pretty massive trunk back there. And to show you that it's a pretty large trunk, I'm gonna hop in. Yep. And then what's cool here, see they have these struts here, but it makes it convenient for locking yourself in the trunk, which is always good, right? You can just kind of This platform is wonderfully developed. It has great balance, and even for something with front wheel drive, you can just have a blast on some really fun roads. The best part about this driving experience has to be that VAQ differential that Volkswagen has standard on all of the GLIs, because especially on a road like Tail of the Dragon, you throw it into a corner, and normally with a front wheel drive car, you expect it to understeer, you're gonna spin the inside wheel, but the limited slip differential kicks in, it sends power to the outside wheel, and it just shoots you around the corner. It's amazing how well this differential puts the power down. The next piece of utility has got to be back seat space. And the impressive thing to me about this generation Jetta is just how much room there is. I mean, this is a compact sedan. I'm sat behind myself with legroom quite comfortably. I also have headroom. There's plenty of room back here for you, for your friends. There's a nice little armrest. It's got cup holders. A couple things to note about the back seat. There are no vents for your rear passengers, so they're going to be relying on the front HVAC vents. But yeah, the space is actually quite large back here. Up here in the front seat, it's much the same actually, plenty of room. This one does not have a sunroof because this is the 35th anniversary edition. They don't come with a sunroof as standard equipment. You have to get the Autobahn trim to get the sunroof, but as a result, tons of headroom. It's a spacious place. Germans know how to make cars for big people. But I think next we should go ahead and talk about some of the technology offerings here in the 2019 GLI. Okay, so in terms of standard tech here in the GLI, well, you start out with a 7-inch touchscreen infotainment display, and there's a smaller multi-information display in your gauge cluster. The standard gauges are just that. They're sporty, though. They have little red accents inside them. They look pretty good. Actually, they're very clear, easy to read. This infotainment display does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay connectivity, and then you can actually go to a little screen that lets you adjust the color of the ambient lighting on the inside of your GLI. So that 7-inch infotainment display and the standard gauge cluster comes standard on the S trim and the 35th anniversary edition trim that we're sitting in right now. But if you upgrade to the Autobahn trim, that's the top end trim, you actually get a bigger infotainment display, an 8-inch touchscreen that has this big glass interface, and you get a digital gauge cluster. It's a 10.25-inch LCD display inside your dash. One really interesting feature that comes only on the 35th anniversary edition trim is what Volkswagen calls DCC, Dynamic Chassis Control, and that is essentially adaptive suspension. And right now, according to Volkswagen, you can't get adaptive suspension on any other trim of the GLI. But what you can do is you can go down here to this little button that says mode. You can click the mode button, then you can pick from a bunch of different driving modes. So you have eco, comfort, normal, sport, and custom, and in custom you pick your own parameters. But in comfort, the suspension is its softest. In normal mode, it gets a little bit stiffer, and then obviously sport is the stiffest suspension setting. But what's funny is that they also changed the level of augmented noise with whatever driving mode you're in. You can almost hear it here, but well, check out what it sounds like. We're in sport right now, and take a listen. But it's really funny when you hear them back to back. So sport, comfort. It's so different from sport to comfort. You can hear the difference so well. So here on the 35th anniversary edition, you actually get some special seats too. You can see these little tags right here. They say GLI 35 on them. They have the white piping inside, in addition to some red stitching and this special pattern. They are cloth, which I like. I like that they offer a cloth seat still. It's not the same plaid seats that you'd get in a GTI, but they do still look rather nice. The other option is of course leather, and what's cool is that the leather seats, you can get ventilated leather seats in the GLI. So if you want to cool your butt off, that is an option as well. A couple other options to talk about in terms of interior features. On the Autobahn trim, you get a special audio package which includes Beats audio. The last important interior upgrade has to be the steering wheel. It's the same exact steering wheel from the GTI and the Golf R. It has the red stitching, it's a flat bottom, but it also has the little plaque right here that says GLI. At the beginning of this video, I said this was the secret bargain of Volkswagen's lineup, and this is what I'm talking about. The base price for the 2019 Volkswagen Jetta GLI starts at $25,995. That's almost $2,000 less than the GTI, despite the fact that you get the same engine, the special differential, the big brakes, all that good stuff. If you step up to this one, the 35th anniversary edition, you get dynamic chassis control, you get the special appearance bits, and it's a limited edition, so if you're into that, that's cool too, but that'll cost you $1,000 more than the S trim, $26,995. And then to get the fully loaded GLI with all the options, you're only looking at $29,195 for the manual transmission. You're under $30,000 for a fully loaded GLI. Now you can obviously get the DSG, that is an optional transmission. It costs $800 across the board. This is a crazy amount of value if you're looking for a fun, sporty sedan. You can get a manual transmission. I'm kind of blown away by the price. With the 2019 GLI, you have a lot of good things. It's a great car. It's easy to live with. It's really fun to drive. You get good gas mileage. And I think the best thing about it is that it's just so darn inexpensive. I mean, starting at just over 25 grand, you get a lot of car for your money. For the Fast Lane Car, I'm Mike Curtis. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. I hope you liked this road. I know I sure did. And please be sure to come back to TFLcar.com for the latest news, views, and real world reviews. And we'll see you guys next time.